Going live. We are live on the internet. Welcome to Indie Comics Interviews. Tonight we have guests and they're late, but they
Not
are
a
coming.
problem. Dude, not a problem.
That's how superstars are, right? Fashionably late.
Yeah. It's the prerogative, you know what I mean?
Superstar.
Our guests can be, our guests can be divas.
That's like a compliment and a swing at the same time.
Exactly.
A backhand compliment, they call.
Backhanded compliment.
I can't. But I've been late so many times. I can't snap on anybody for being late.
Nah, shit happens, and there's so many.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
But
well,
we'll do our best to try to keep you folks entertained.
Yeah, Phil had to take care of some actual job stuff, so he was a little delayed. But
no problem, because I can say go back to freaking Lost Pages because it's freaking awesome, and I'm one of the next one to come up in that extra story there.
because you're going to be illustrating in that extra story, right?
Yep.
Oh, hell yeah.
And
Lost Pages looks absolutely amazing. It's one of the books I'm genuinely excited for.
And I'm not going to say more than what he already said.
The
story we're working on, it's a demon hunter from hell. And let's leave it at that.
Okay.
Sounds very metal.
So a demon hunter from hell.
No, from
hell.
From hell.
Sold. Is it John Holmes? Because I had an idea for a story a long time ago where
which part of Nuff said you didn't understand? The Nuff of the said. Damn it!
I'm wondering which John Holmes he's talking about.
You know, John C. Holmes. Do you know what the C stood for?
Nope.
Curtis. John C. Holmes. Folks, if you don't know this, you know, I'm dating myself. Familiar. John C. Holmes was a really famous porn star. He was famous because he had like a 14 and a half.
That's how I was wondering who's John Holmes you're talking about.
Yeah,
there are a couple other John Holmes, but the porn star. I got you.
No wonder I heard that name, but I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Somebody actually did a Johnny Wad comic book. It was just a one shot. Yeah.
What was the name of that movie? Wonderland? Is that what it's Wonderland? When with Val Kilmer as John Holmes?
Yes, which is a terrific movie, and the conclusion that they come to at the end of that, because I've got like every book on Holmes, every documentary. I'm obsessed with that guy. He was just fascinating.
That guy or that 14-inch thing that he has?
Yeah. You have to respect that, man. 14 and a half inches. You know who else was actually obsessed with John Holmes was Christopher Walken.
Really?
And he and Abel Ferrara were going to do a movie where Christopher Walken played Holmes, which would have been awesome because Holmes looked very gaunt. And
can you imagine the Christopher Walken speech cantor doing John Holmes style lines?
Yeah,
that's just
yeah. Where the fuck is Ringo? So if you've seen Boogie Nights, Mark Wahlberg's character in that, Dirk Diggler is inspired by John Holmes, and there is a scene in that, you know, where he goes, "Where the fuck is Ringo?" That's taken directly from one of his movies where he plays the private detective Johnny Wad, and you don't want Johnny Wad on your ass, man.
Not with 14 inches, right?
Not with 14 inches.
You don't want Johnny's wad on your ass.
No. Although
that's a Preston type of thing, right?
Yeah.
Pressed on, get it? No.
Yep. Oh man. Evidently, though, like having sex with him wasn't that painful, but for his female partners, because he couldn't get completely hard. Because if he got completely hard at 14 and a half inches, he would faint. So it was sort of like making love to a loofah sponge.
Dude, I had a friend that was in a similar type of position, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And dude, when you say that, in his pants, right, on his jeans, like just wearing jeans, you could see it, and it was very close to his knee, right? Right? And the first thing he said, he goes like, "Girls are all like, oh," and I'm like, yeah, but every time I get it up, yeah, I go out. I'm like, that's an impediment then.
Yeah, it can be. It can be, without a doubt. But imagine the self-confidence that you'd have. Like, you could conquer the world if you're packing.
Dude, at this point, okay, I think it's kind of like like the opposite of what is it, like somebody that comes too fast.
Yeah. Like,
The ejaculator.
Yeah, so it's kind of like, hey, I have a huge one, but I faint, so I can't use it.
You know who else was supposedly packing? Not Forrest Whitaker. Tucker. Help me out here. He was in a lot of westerns, and he was in The Abominable Snowman with Peter Cushing. Forrest Tucker. It was evidently.
Nope.
He was an actor like in a lot of like TV westerns and some science fiction movies too, and he was like real close friends with like Lon Chaney Jr. and they would like periodically beat the shit out of each other just for fun. And he was packing, and John Dillinger was evidently packing. And when
that's funny because the Dillinger is a little tiny gun.
I know. Well, that's a Derringer.
A Derringer, yeah, you're right.
That's a Derringer.
Derringer.
But John Dillinger was packing, and evidently after his death, his unit like toured in like a bottle of like jar of formaldehyde or something, like along the Kearney circuit.
His dick and balls? That's fucked up.
I don't know. Well, I don't know if it included his balls. You know, I don't. It was definitely the meat. I don't know if there was the veg too. Folks, aren't you enjoying this very adult conversation?
Oh, dude, I'm out of that conversation. As you notice, I'm.
He dropped out, right?
Yeah, I'm right here. I'm just like la 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 la.
But yeah, I did. That is a project that I did consider at one point that I even have like notes for, where like John Holmes is in hell and like Satanist is like, dude, I gotta send you back upstairs to get like an escaped soul, and he's like, all right, I'll do it. Except when he gets up there, all he wants to do is blow and porn.
Was that your inspiration behind Six Gun Gorilla?
No. Trust me, man. Like Six Gun, it's like.
Sorry, I couldn't help it.
It's all good, brother. It's all good. I set myself up for that one. Christ.
That's like, that's another one of those like oldies on the side of the table and.
Yep. Yeah. But yeah, it's I like one of my favorite writers is Joe R. Lansdale, and there's like Joe R. Lansdale, the proper writer, right? Mm-hmm. The guy who writes like award-winning mystery novels, like The Bottoms, like a Thin Dark Line, the Hap and Leonard novels, which were turned into a TV series, a very good TV series that unfortunately only lasted 2 seasons on the Sundance Channel. And then there's Naughty Joe. And Naughty Joe writes some really like he wrote a Tarzan story where basically Cheetah takes Jane from him.
Sorry, I was gonna say like Naughty Joe. Like, that sounds like a gorilla name, and then you wrote a Tarzan thing, dude. Dude, you're not making it easy.
I always call him Mighty Joe, the Mighty Joe Lansdale, but yeah, it's about he's so legit. He's so legit. They hired him to take a unfinished Edgar Rice Burroughs Tarzan story and finish it, right? Mm-hmm. So, and he's written for television, movies, Bubba Hotep. That's his story. And then there's like a smaller publisher that he publishes like his really crazy shit under, and he published this book called The Ape Man's Brother, and basically it's about like this ape that he grows up with, Cheetah, basically, right? And how like he goes to Hollywood and becomes a movie star, and they have him fight a real lion, and then he kills the lion, but then afterwards he lifts up its tail and starts banging it. And
so I'm not that far from saying that it was an inspiration.
No, not at all. Not at all. I have a perverted mind too.
That we have no doubt
So
of.
do not be surprised if there's ever like a six-gun gorilla blockbuster followed by a triple X movie.
Hey, Triple X comic.
And don't
You
be
never-
surprised if he has a 14 inches gun.
He doesn't need the big gun. The big gun is in his pants.
We're talking about the
Fucking
six-gun
rattlesnake, man.
Dude, this is a great start to the freaking show.
I think so. I think so. But seriously, don't you have like I have like a little folder of like really just bizarre, crazy ass projects I would love to do someday that I realize I'm probably never going to do.
Mhm.
But but yeah, the John Holmes comes out of hell, goes looking for escaped souls, but spends all his time doing blow and porn, and and then it turns into like The Getaway. I don't know if you've ever seen that Sam Peckinpah movie. That's what I was. That's what I was gonna.
The Getaway, is that the one with Kim Basinger?
The remake was. That's the remake. Was with Kim Basinger and Alec Baldwin. The original was with Steve McQueen and Ali McGraw.
I think I've seen the remake. I don't know if I've seen the original.
The remake kind of was whack. The original is awesome, of course. Hail El Gargoyle. You just finished Mike Barron's Biker. Awesome. Oh, is that one of Mike Barron's new books? For those of you who don't know who Mike Barron is, he is a major writer, comic book writer from like the 80s. His Punisher run is really legendary. He created Nexus with Steve Rude. Yeah. And Nexus was one of those books that in the 80s, man, when there was that indie boom. You know, you had First Comics, which was my favorite. You had Eclipse. You had Malibu. You had Dark Horse had just appeared. And, of course, eventually all those publishers died off except for Dark Horse. It became one like the second biggest indie after Image. But
I don't think Dark Horse and Image can be considered indies anymore.
But Dark Horse, wasn't it Dark Horse before Image? It became indie before Image.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah, I
think you start being. I think you cease to be indie when you start hiring people to make comics. I think when you because you're just a small publisher, a small press at that point. You know
indie, that makes sense to me.
Indie means you're making your own comics. It's your own comics, and you're independent.
Right.
I'm no publisher.
It's one of the reasons, but it's one of the reasons why McFarlane can still write it in a way. Because he's still just working on this with one creation.
Yep.
One book, But even though, he's a small publisher, but he can say that he's an indie publisher at the same time because he's only working on these things.
Yeah, does he only do Spawn? He only does Spawn, that's it?
Yeah.
He doesn't do any side projects or anything like that?
Sometimes he has a Dark Spawn, he did have Angela, but they're mainly miniseries.
But they're all spin-offs of the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
you did Hunt. You did Hunt, but yeah.
Well,
when you start, you can have multiple series and still be an independent if you're writing them. But if you're hiring people to write books and you're just doing the publisher role, at that point you're a publisher. You're not an indie anymore.
Well, it's like New Line Cinema. When New Line Cinema first appeared, they started out by distributing Reefer Madness. That was their first movie. And then the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, right? So indie to the core, without a doubt, right?
Well, distribution channels aren't the ones that make the movie. You can distribute.
Oh yeah. But they did start producing. But they did turn into a production company. Thing is, it's like then when you hear that they're doing the Lord of the Rings, you can't exactly call them indie anymore now, can you?
In the film industry, indie technically means you're not SAG. So that's different anyway. You know what I mean? So if you're Screen Actors Guild or you're indie. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
So that's different, like a game. I mean, that's like if there was like a union for comic book creators, you'd be like, you're either union or you're indie.
Right. Yeah, and it's a shame that there never was a union for comic book creators because, oh my God, the old timers, the people who built this thing, the people who built the foundations got screwed. The American comic book industry has just always had a history of treating its people poorly. They have been a little bit better. At least the movie studios have. Of course, Dennis O'Neil, who I got to know a little bit, recently passed away. Legendary DC and Marvel writer, did that legendary run. Did what's considered the definitive Batman run. He's the guy with Neil Adams. He's the guy who made Batman cool again after the 1968 TV series.
You made him dark again, and that's what technically led to Frank Miller being able to do his freaking Dark Knight Return.
Yep.
Yeah, Batman stopped being Batman really wasn't all that dark when he started. I mean, Batman became dark later. The original Batman was never really that dark. And
yes,
it
was.
Yes, he was.
He had guns.
He had guns.
And after that, they took out the guns, and he was breaking limbs.
He was
snapping necks too.
Well, I mean, he was. When I say
he was like the Shadow.
No, it was like Shadowhawk. Remember Shadowhawk?
Yeah.
That was technically the original Batman.
Well,
except he had guns.
Yeah. Well, I think what Drew is thinking of, he's thinking of the Bill Finger Batman. The Bill Finger Batman, that's the silly Batman. You know what I mean? Those comics where you see the Joker has Batman and Robin in a giant mouse trap or something like that.
I remember I read some of the original Detective Comics. You know what I mean?
The original was by Bill Fingers.
Yeah, and those were not. I mean, they were dark, but they weren't dark like the Dark Knight dark. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, that's Frank Miller's another level. Yeah. Well, Frank Miller took it to a another level, and it shows you that how DC was in such dire straits that they were willing to let him do that with one of their flagship characters.
Yeah, but that's why we were mentioning that entire thing of breaking a limb, making sure that the guy would have pains. The ribs were broken, so he would remember that the pain would remind him every fucking time that there would be a rain outside. He would remember. That comes from those writings. Dennis O'Neil stuff, that's where it came from.
Yeah.
And that's why when he came with it, people are like, what the fuck you doing? Yeah, dude, that was before. That was the same thing that we had. Yeah.
Oh, my point.
The Sword of Israel was amazing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah, he's, I mean, just, fantastic, iconic writer. Also, of course, did that very legendary run of Green Arrow, Green Lantern, which was political, but showed you how you could do how you could put leftist politics in a comic in a way that didn't suck. Do you know what I'm saying? You read those and they're just great stories because that was always his priority, his top priority. Tell a kick-ass story. Chuck Dixon, for instance, he said him and me were at opposite ends of the political spectrum, but that guy can write a comic book story. And so they were like that. But when I met him, the Batman Begins had just come out, and he said, he went to see it with his wife. He actually married his childhood sweetheart, which is kind of cool. He went to see it with his wife, and they're sitting there, and he's seeing stuff that he wrote, like young Bruce Wayne, falling into the Batcave, discovering it for the first time. Ra's al Ghul, of course, one of his characters. And he was sitting there, and he was kind of like, those motherfuckers. And then a short while later, he got a check. And the check basically came with a letter that from the studio that said, look, we ain't saying nothing. We admit nothing. But here's a little check. And he was like, those sweethearts, those great guys. So evidently what Hollywood is doing is they're just quietly sending checks to people. I'm sure Jim Starlin must have gotten one for Infinity War, for instance. And I think that started around the time that Marv Wolfman filed his lawsuit because of Blade. because he waited until that movie came out, and then he filed the lawsuit and was just like, look, I created that character, I should get some kind of compensation. He lost that lawsuit, largely in part because of the testimony of John Byrne, who showed up to like basically work against one of his fellow comics creators. And and I'm a huge John Byrne fan, don't get me wrong, but that's one of the reasons why, as a person, he is reviled by many people. But what are your thoughts?
You're talking about John Byrne?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the one that testified against fucking Kirby.
Against Kirby too.
He testified against Kirby for the rights to his art and the
That was heinous.
Work for hire. Yeah.
That was actually the time when I started boycotting Marvel Comics. Stan Lee was obviously just a figurehead. It was really there were these jokes going around. I had a T-shirt that said "Stan Lee is dead," and they brought back Jean Grey, which was like a major betrayal. Hey, what's up, Phil?
What's up, brothers? Hail. Sorry for being late.
Man? No worries, man.
Don't sweat it, man.
How's your boss?
He's good. He's good. Yeah, kicking my ass, but he's good.
Good to have you, brother. We were just talking about lawsuits and like the whole Marvel Jack Kirby thing when they wouldn't give him back his original art.
Oh yeah.
And how John Byrne, I didn't know this, but that John Byrne testified against Jack Kirby. And this must have been like while he was doing the Fantastic Four, right?
Sounds like John Byrne.
Yeah, he was working for Marvel, and you know that he was gifted a whole bunch of those pages. And that he owns a whole bunch of them, and he testified against it, going like, "Dude, it was work for hire. You should know this, and this is how it's went." And
well, technically, he's right, but morally, it's the right thing to do. You do the right thing because it's the right thing to do.
But people forgot one thing, dude.
Yeah.
What Neil Adams fought, and he's the one that fought it, and we didn't have that. It's before. To just get paid, they had their paycheck, and on the back of their paycheck it says, if you endorse this check, you sign all your rights to us. And that's how they stole and took everything from everybody. And Neil Adams, the one that went, "Fuck you, I'm not doing it," and he fought with them. So,
well, hail Neil Adams.
He may be a douche sometimes, a bit of a dick. But let's not forget that it's thanks to him that most creators can keep their pages, their original art, and stuff like that, right?
Well,
that's why when I met him.
Speaking of creators and pages, why don't we talk a little about the law pages?
Hot. This book is hot like salsa picante. I'm telling you.
Oh.
Smoke it.
Thank you, guys.
Seriously, I don't just say this shit to be nice. I am really, 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 really looking forward to this. This is so like right up my alley.
For sure, man. Yeah, a lot of people have been saying that, and that's what we tried to make this book kind of for the all-around comic fan. With all the different characters, the different genres, kind of doing like a new type of thing where it's different stories, but it's not really an anthology because it's all together in one universe that coincides, and eventually the characters are going to meet each other. So it's the start of something big, man. I'm glad everybody's digging it.
It's not even here yet, and we're digging it.
Yeah.
So why don't you give us the elevator pitch for the people that have not heard it?
Sure, yeah. If you guys haven't seen it yet, this is our stab at a connected universe of heroes. You look at Marvel and DC and how they're kind of dying now. This is what we want to replace it. These are our characters all in one universe. And the story is basically about this homeless man, the hobo, who has this magical tome, this book of lost pages. And inside the book are tales of these real heroes that live in his world. That are kind of hidden by time, and he speaks the words of the book into the world, and as he tells these stories to passersby and to us, the reader, we get glimpses into the worlds of these heroes that will one day come together to right the end of the world.
Cool. Very cool.
Awesome.
So
Awesome.
let's give your trailer a little gander.
Oh, sweet.
The Lost Pages, from the minds and hands of Zaid Comics, comes the first book in their connected universe of heroes, with a cover by legendary illustrator Simon Bisley. The Lost Pages is a story of a magical book in the hands of a homeless man. Within it are tales lost to time, of heroes from different eras and walks of life, all protecting humanity from evil. As the word of the book is spoken around a trash fire, new crusaders of justice will be revealed to this world. A supernatural vigilante on the hard streets of Chicago named the Silhouette. An ancient sorcerer battling horrific myth on the high seas known as Wild Card. A modern-day mental monster from the mind of a bodybuilder babe, Crimstone. And a pulp hero from the 1930s, a master of disguise donning the mask of the Masquerade. This is just the beginning, for in the future these heroes and more will come together to right the end of the world. But for now, the ink of life flows on every page. Will you be there to read it? Only on Indiegogo. Only on Indiegogo!
Sold.
Hey, oh, brother. Thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Awesome.
one of the cool backer stretch goals we're doing is when we hit 250 backers, everybody that backs the book is going to be able to get that soundtrack, that theme song for the Lost Pages. Kind of something we did similar to for Magic Cop. So we're giving everybody a track too when we get there.
That's awesome. That's a really cool idea. It makes it a multimedia experience.
Yeah, for sure.
So tell us what inspired this whole project. Where did it all come from as far as
man? Yeah. So this is taking the first character my brother and I ever came up with, who's the Silhouette, and that was back in 2011. We did small press comics back then with taking pictures in front of a green screen and turning them into make it look like a comic, because neither of us were good at art back then. So the Silhouette was our brainchild, the first hero we ever created, and from him we kind of came up with new characters in the Silhouette's universe. So all these characters kind of existed back then as well, not really fleshed out, but over the years we developed the characters. I took a break from comics and went to college, and during writing classes I would just write about these characters. I would do short stories about the Silhouette and his hero buddies. So it expanded and expanded, with a bunch of different heroes, awesome villains. And when we were doing Magic Cop, we always, I always had the need to get back to these characters, because I was still writing about them and doing practice scripts with them. And we just came up with the title The Lost Pages and made it that is the universe. Went ahead and fleshed these characters out, started hiring artists to interpret them, and that's where we are here. This is our dream project. This is where all the passion started for comics, was with these characters. So kind of like taking a break for a little bit and coming back, strong right now. It's crazy that we have all these artists working with us, and including the Simon Bisley cover, man. That's insane.
Oh God, completely insane. How the heck did you get Simon Bisley?
Dude, I'm a huge Bisley fan. I'm a huge fan of Lobo. And I met him like 5 years ago now at a convention. He was just the coolest guy, and I was always trying to get in contact with him to do just a commission for me, or maybe like paint up the back of my motorcycle jacket. I think that would be awesome. And actually, Sweens got me in contact with his art rep. He just happened to, I think Indie Dave knew of how to contact them. So I'm like, dude, Sweens, you got to give me his contact info so I could get him to do something for me and see if it's feasible. And it just went super smooth. He was totally down. He was down to work with us. And in fact, if you see the feature tier, we actually got him to agree to sign 25 copies of the book, which is insane, man. Like I just dropped it as an idea. I'm like, hey, would Simon be able to do this? And he actually said he would do it, but he had to look over the script first, to kind of sign off on it.
Sure.
Which I was nervous about because I'm like, oh, I got to organize, get this script presentable for the biz and send him some pages that I already have done. And I was, biting my nails over it over the weekend. And he said that he dug it and he wants to do it. So, that was just made this, the planets aligned with this campaign for sure, man.
Oh, that's awesome. Nobody beats the biz. Nobody beats the biz. Yeah, for those of you that have never had the experience, I've never met Simon Bisley personally, but he was at the East Coast Comic-Con where I had a table, and homeboy like drinks with his fans.
Yeah, man.
Hard. Like his table was always a literal party. And you'd see, beers and bottles of like whiskey and shit. Yeah, so he's obviously a very chill guy, and what a coup, man! What a coup for you to be able to get him to do a cover. And how many? 25 of these are signed?
Yes, yeah. So when you get that perk, it comes with both of the books. It comes with the poster, fold-out poster of the cover without the logo, and then the sticker set that 6 AM Comics designed for each of the heroes. So
hail Mark Marianelli.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah, we love him.
So yeah, if you like the biz, definitely pick up that one. It's a dream come true having him, attached to anything I'm working with, man. It's so cool.
That is awesome. How many of those are left?
Those, I think there's 11 of them right now that are taken.
For $150? People, bust a move.
Yeah.
If you snooze, you lose. Grab these quick.
For sure. Yeah, man. But this whole project is a dream come true. Working with all these artists, I thought it was gonna. It is quite the task of like being the band manager to all these. Like I think there's 6 people on my team right now working on this book. And with the stretch goals, it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. But I really wanted to hit home that even though this is one world, these characters are vastly different from each other. They come from different eras, different walks of life, and that we were able to show that within the art too. There's different artists that do each hero, and it just worked out perfectly. Kind of hard to Tetris everything together, but once we got the hang of it, I had to organize everything, and it's working out really well. As you can see, this is kind of the in-between story shots where we see the hobo telling these stories and giving little introductions to these heroes. As you can see there, all the heroes are kind of like astrally projected out of this trash fire as he talks about the book, and some of those characters there aren't going to be in the main book. They're kind of like Easter eggs for later on in the series. But actually, our newest stretch goal that we just hit when we got over 13,500, it introduces a character who's down there in the bottom right. She's all in white there. She has that veil over her face. Her name's the Pianist. She's kind of our 90s bad girl assassin. My brother's going to be doing the 4-page story for her that was unlocked with the stretch goal, and that's going to be in the bonus comic that you can get with the book. And everybody's going to get a trading card with that character drawn by Doodle Bags.
Oh, Nice. Yeah, I mean, I want to ask you about more of these characters, but I don't know how much you want to reveal.
Yeah, you could ask away, man. I love talking.
Yeah, let's try to get him to reveal more than he wants to, Brian.
Well, you know me, I'm like human sodium pentothal. But no, I was wondering about the character that's right above her, with the with the insect kind of face. At least kind of reminds me a little bit of Ambush Bug.
Yeah, so those are sunglasses.
Sunglasses.
Yeah, those go over. That's kind of like how she hides her identity, and she's got that mask as well. I can talk about her. She's actually in the main story. She's part of the Crimstone story. She's the human alter ego of Crim. Yeah, so her name's Taz. Her name's Taz Stone, and she's this badass bodybuilder, biker babe that is into graffiti and into getting into bar fights and stuff like that. So she grew up with this imaginary friend who is this like goofy, lanky creature named Crim, and as she grew up, her imaginary friend fades back into the back of her mind. And if you scroll down a few, you'll be able to see kind of like how he looked in her head, and then as he's in her head, the monsters he has to deal with and fight over like 12 years. Tragedy strikes and kind of like knocks Crim back into the forefront of her mind, and she starts seeing and talking to him again, and she gets the strength to become a vigilante with him. So now he's this hulking beast of a monster. If you scroll down to the next page, you'll see him kicking some ass in a cage match fight. So when he's around, she gets super strength, and they become the badass vigilante Crimstone.
When you say when he's around, where does he go somewhere else other than just in her mind?
So now, now when they get into fights, she gets the strength because he's back now. But before, like that 12-year span, she didn't have him to fall back on. She didn't have him as a coping mechanism. So she had turned to real life coping mechanisms. So we see that whole change in her, from her being a youngster to him being gone and what she had to deal with through that time. And then when he's back, he comes back in a big bad way.
Obviously, he's been working out.
Yeah, he's been beating up some inner demons in her head for all those years. So kind of keeping both of them alive.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
I just love how fleshed out all of these characters are.
Well, that's the thing, this is what I always tell people, especially new writers that are trying to build an IP. Take some time with it. Don't rush it.
Yeah.
These characters have, like I said, been with us since around 2011. And I've always gone back to them, just daydreaming about these characters. What could I add to these guys? What makes them tick? And a fun exercise that I did, which you guys are going to see if you back the book and back that bonus comic, that a lot of those stories in the bonus comic were kind of practice scripts. They're 4-page stories, so you really have to cram in the personality of the character, what they would do in a situation, and it teaches you how to pace a story. So writing those short stories were really good lessons for myself of these characters' personality. So if you guys are, wanting to get into comics, to flesh out some characters, do that. Write some really short stories and take some time with it. Don't rush it, because you really want the characters to shine. And that's my favorite part of writing comics or writing anything, is those characters.
Absolutely. That is absolutely superb advice, because there's no shortcutting that. If you don't create a proper background, if the characters haven't got a chance to speak on their own, because I always find when I start writing a character, it takes a while until they start speaking like on their own. Before that, I'm putting words in their mouth.
Oh yeah.
And then when they start to come alive, it's worth your time. It's worth the investment.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Okay, think of it like research. You know?
Oh yeah. Oh, of course. Yeah. You're basically researching, getting to know this character, even though you're creating them. You know, they'll
Yeah.
actually become take on a life of their own.
Yeah. And there's a lot of stuff that the audience doesn't need to know, but that you need to know.
Yes. Yeah.
So when she turns into Crimstone, how does that work? Or does she turn into Crimstone, or does Crimstone like work beside her, or exactly what
So,
happens?
so Crimstone's all in her head, or Crim is all in her head, right? So only it's kind of like you get that Eddie Brock Venom aspect where she can hear him, and she could see him, but no one else can. So what actually is happening in this scene, what everybody in the bar is looking at, is they're looking at Taz kicking this guy's ass. You know, they're looking at her, and the reader sees him, and we play around with that in different shots. So sometimes you'll see her, and then the next panel here, she's actually gorilla pressing the guy over her head, and you see her doing that. But on the ground, her shadow is Crim's shadow. It's this big hulking shadow on the ground. So we have a lot of fun with the visuals in here. We like to do that in reflections of glass or mirrors as well. But a lot of times you could see them side by side, talking, and he's very is a very masculine personality. He loves getting into fights. He's always egging her on to get into fights, telling her to call people different names and stuff. Since he's been fighting for 12 years in her head, that's all he knows right now. So he wants to brawl.
So he's not exactly a good influence.
Yeah, no, not at all. No.
Do that extra shot of Jägermeister. I think that guy over there is looking at you funny.
Yeah, this was, I'm a huge fan of Lobo and that toxically masculine comic book personality.
Yeah.
So this is, my total homage to him, and I know the 90s in comics holds a dear place in a lot of readers' hearts. So this was the perfect character to have in that 90s genre for the Lost Pages.
Most
Excellent.
Definitely.
So tell us about the Masquerade.
Oh man, this is total, a total 180. You talk about that 90s bombastic character. Now this is kind of a character that's lost to time right now in comics. A throwback to the pulp heroes of those pulp magazines like The Shadow or the Green Hornets, characters like the Spider, or even you go back to what Billy Tucci's doing right now with Miss Fury. That's an old timey golden age hero. And this is the Masquerade. We wanted to cover that as well because that's kind of a void right now in comics. You don't really have that. So a lot of the stories here take place in Chicago, but this takes place in 1930s Chicago. So this is an era within itself here. And the Masquerade is kind of our ground zero for heroes in our world. He's the first masked crime fighter. He has, some mysticism to him. He could take the guise of anyone. He's a master of disguise, and you could change his voice. But while he's in his masquerade outfit and crime fighting, he speaks in Shakespearean language. He's obsessed with theater and the dramatics. So he speaks in that rhyming iambic pentameter.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, that is. So he's really fun to write, and there's a lot to him. You'll see him out of costume. You'll see the man behind the mask. His name is Easton Carlisle. He's a socialite theater actor in Chicago. He's got a sexy love interest you're going to see. This one's, again, totally different from the rest of the stories. Has heavy narration and lots of Tommy gun action as well, because he's going to be fighting some mobsters.
Oh, yeah, this is clear. This is I got to admit, all of these are really intriguing to me, but this is in particular the one I'm looking the most forward to, because I am a pulp freak, and I agree that there is a tremendous void these days for the pulp heroes. Characters like Doc Savage, the Phantom, the Shadow, of course, the Spider, who you mentioned.
Yeah. Yeah, I really got into that. Man, it was probably more than I'd say 5 years ago when Alex Ross did a book with Dynamite called The Masks, and it was
Yeah.
all those characters.
Hmm.
And the first issue he did totally by himself. He did all the interiors as well, and it was all just looking at that art was so cool, and it took you to a place back in time, and
Yeah.
that's what I really want to do for the readers of the Lost Pages for this section, because the Masquerade, even though he's in this time frame, he's a really important character to the overall world of the Lost Pages, and we'll see that in here and going forward in the series.
Fantastic.
Very cool. Tommy gun. Tick, tick,
Yep.
tick.
Yeah, there's that Tommy gun action.
Oh, it's fantastic. Such a sucker for that.
And now tell us about the
Wild card.
mystic with the pirate ships, wild card.
Yeah, wild card. Kind of more of hitting on that mythological horror aspect to comics here. So if you guys love mythology, I'm a huge mythology buff. I took a class in college about mythology, and I just fell in love with it. And it made me fall in love with comics even more because, making that modern mythology. So here, Wildcard is a fantastic character that I could throw in any time frame. He is ageless. He starts in Merlin times. He's an apprentice to Merlin, and once he gets his magical relic, he could live forever basically. So it's really fun playing with a character like that, throwing him in different eras. And in this one, it's just a snippet in his life. This is the 1600s, the height of piracy. He is the captain of a pirate ship, and he's not having a great day because his ship gets overrun by these sirens. And if you scroll down there, you'll see these horrific bird women. At first, they're beautiful, sexy ladies, as you can see in that top panel, but they transmutate into these harpy-esque sirens. They hypnotize his crew, so now his crew turns on him, and they're ready for a meal. They even, you're going to get some skeleton pirate action too, because some skeletons are climbing up the side of his boat. So this is an action-packed story that is, turns kind of like this comic on its side because there's not a lot of dialogue in this one, but it's narrated to a poem that the hobo is reading about sirens.
So cool.
Interesting.
And I mean, Joe Ball's art. How could you go wrong with all that detail?
Stunning. Stunning. Once again, I know I always point this out, but the figurehead on the ship, the detail on that is just astounding.
Yeah.
Look at that. How metal is that?
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
no, it's so cool. And Joe was telling me when he was drawing this, he's like, I can't. I'm so excited to draw the boat. And he messaged me. He's like, hey, at the front, I was thinking about doing like this figurehead thing. And he's like, what do you think? Maybe like a skull or like a angel chick. What do you think? And I'm like, oh yeah, skull would be really cool. And then in his head, he's doing everything. So he did this like angel of death on the front. I'm like, this is even cooler than what I thought you were going to do.
This is why you always want to give your artist that latitude, because they can, be inspired and do wonderful things. Yeah,
Joe Ball is awesome. We have a bunch of his art pages are for sale on the campaign too, as well as with the silhouette and Crimstone. I know there's a lot of collectors out there. If you guys are looking for awesome pages, I mean, Joe Ball, he knocks it out of the park with his black and white inks. And some of that, portion of that sale also goes directly to him and the artists for sure, because we want to keep them drawing, man.
Hell yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. So in a way, by selling the art, Joe gets a bonus. So.
Yes. Oh yeah, for sure.
Heck yeah. That's the other thing. Always be good to your artists.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now the silhouette.
Yes, this is where it all started, man. the silhouette back in. I got a concept sheet that's on lined notebook paper that my brother drew. It's dated 2011. That's when we came up with the silhouette. So he's been with us for a long time. He's our supernatural vigilante. He's in the modern day, but this story reflects how he sees the world. It's in black and white, with red for the blood, and it's a different speed of the other stories as well. So this is a heavy inner monologue, and you get to see what is in his head and how he views the world around him. If you love characters like Rorschach, is a big influence on the silhouette. I think his name was Mr. A. I think that was the old Steve Ditko character.
Yes. He was wow.
So that's
no, I was just going to say,
Mr. Cuts right there.
Yeah, Mr. A. For those of you that don't know, was a Steve Ditko character who couldn't see the world in anything but black and white. There was like no gray areas for that character, and he was actually a big inspiration for Rorschach. So the silhouette is kind of descended.
Ditko was also the creator of what's the name of the one in DC again? The Question. Sorry.
Oh, The Question.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's really interesting. I mean, this also looks awesome because it's noir to the core, obviously.
For sure. Yeah, this is like the extreme of for lack of a better term, sin in this city, right? So he's just seeing all this scummy crap in the city, and he just hates it. It's more of one of the more mature stories in the book. You're gonna see, prostitutes, druggies, and pimps and stuff like that. So there's not a lot of innocence in the city, but for that one tiny speck of innocence, that's why the silhouette is here. He makes kind of like the metaphor, the simile of how his eyes, those white eyes, are like the small shred of innocence encloaked by the city, which is his blackness. So he's a hard ass for sure.
Awesome. Yeah, I love these types of characters. And this is like an anthology. So how many pages are each story, or does it vary from story to story?
It varies, but not by much. So I would say each story is 12 to 14 pages in the book.
Nice
and
length.
And then we have those in between shots of the hobo telling the stories, and then at the end there's a kind of a conclusion to that hobo into the whole book, where we get some pretty good action in the hobo's world.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. So the whole book is 60 pages, and then of course we're offering that bonus comic, which if you guys love the universe that we're building and you want more characters, glimpses of them, you got to get that bonus comic, because from here on out, our next stretch goals are just adding more stories to that bonus comic. We just unlocked that pianist story my brother's drawn. The next one is a pretty awesome human vigilante drawn by E.J. Morgis. The character's named The People. We got a 4-page story with that. And then Sim's got a story, a 4-pager, that's some badass demon stuff. So we're trying something new, how, Mr. E's doing that subscription, and, how Ethan's doing that box. That bonus comic is like a living, growing comic. For every time we get more backers, we're going to add more content for all you guys, including trading cards. I loved seeing what Mr. E was doing with his trading cards. And I'm like, dude, those trading cards are sick. So we're adding more trading cards for each character that comes in.
Sweet.
Yeah.
There's also this coming.
Yeah, Sim's doing some sketch cards for you guys.
Oh, you're gonna have Silhouette.
Yeah.
Crimstone.
We are now joined by Chris Brawley.
And his friend.
Nice.
Welcome, Chris.
Nice. What's up, Chris?
You're the man, Sim.
Hey,
Hail,
guys.
Chris.
Hey,
What's
guys.
up?
Been listening to everything.
What's up, brother? Good to have you.
Thanks for being
thank
here,
you.
man.
I'm glad you guys reached out to me. Yeah, really enjoying it. I've been enjoying the discussion. Phil, we've had him on Bleeding Full. I think
Yes,
it was
yeah.
Magic Cop was the
That's
last
right,
book
man.
we were
Yep.
pushing on Bleeding Full quite a while back. I think
Yeah, I
we've had
really
everybody here
appreciate
on. I
that. That
think
was
we had
awesome.
Brian, the Six Gun Gorilla, was on for a little bit, and
Thank you so much, man. I
Drew,
really appreciate it.
what, Captain Love?
Yeah,
Of
Captain
course.
Love, right?
And we love that project.
Thank you.
Yeah, good
Yeah.
stuff. Good
You're
stuff.
welcome, Chris.
Yeah, seriously,
Thank you.
thank you
Thank you.
for the push.
Yeah, definitely. Yes, 100% on that, man.
Yeah, it makes
It's
me
it's
feel like
it's
a real comic book creator when someone's
I
talking
know.
about me on a website.
I know.
It's awesome.
Well, yeah, well, that's the thing, dude. We are real comic book creators. How awesome is that?
Yeah. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
It's all for the fans, man.
Mavericks.
Absolutely.
We're all Mavericks. Yeah.
Yep.
right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Good stuff.
Well, that's the beauty about the indie world is you gotta step it up because you can't just rely on somebody else to do the work for you. You know what I mean? You gotta wear as many hats as possible.
Yeah.
So you kind of end up being like a little gung ho and sacrificing things like sleep.
Oh man, you're telling me, dude. Last week, just for some reason, all week I went to bed like at 11:30 and woke up at 7:30 in the morning, and that was the first time I've done that in maybe 2 years. Just from doing everything with Magic Cop, and it was insane. I mean, I guess my body needed it, but we're back to the grind now because through the whole production of Magic Cop and doing the Lost Pages stuff, Sim knows, me, Sim, Joe Ball, and a bunch of guys will just stay up until freaking 3 a.m. working while we're hanging out in a Google Hangouts and talking, shooting the shit.
Yeah.
Hail
So
Chungus.
yeah.
Just sorry I had to get that in.
Brother.
We all take like friendly pics on each other all night.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's friendly banter all night.
Yeah.
Like
Awesome.
Passion draws it like one of the funniest one, right? Everybody knows about that one, so I can mention it if you haven't heard. It's funny. It was like he was drawing a freaking shark guy, and out of nowhere we just went like, that doesn't look like a shark guy.
Yeah, we were just ragging on him for drawing sharks. So if you see Passion for drawing,
So that's why you hear us always thinking like, hopefully it's not a shark guy in the book.
yeah. Any sharks in this book, Passion?
Let's whip through your tiers real fast here. So your featured tier is the signed pack. Now is that just a little of everything? What comes along with the signature?
Yeah, so this is like your most content, right? So this is our basic featured tier plus the main book is signed by Bisley. And you're going to get those 6am Comics stickers that you can add on in the add-on section. So you're getting a little bit of everything. It comes with a fold-out poster, which is the first time we're doing that, which we're really excited about. We saw Vestige did that, and we got that. It looked so cool. We needed to add a fold-out poster to the campaign. So you're getting both books. The main book is signed by the Biz. You're getting the poster and the stickers for $150.
Sweet. And then this is just the book, and which one of you signs it?
So it's going to be signed by my brother and I for the rest, the stuff on the campaign. We have 60 plus pages with interior covers on there, and same thing with the digital. The cool thing with the signed book is you get all the stretch goals, right? So taking a big nod from Drew, putting a lot of trading cards out there. So by the end of the campaign, all these characters that you see in the book are going to have a trading card that has a bio on the back. The trading card art is going to be done by some amazing artists as well. And even if you get the digital, it doesn't come with those physical trading cards. But since we unlocked that blockhead, which here's our Magic Cop blockhead, but we're having one made of the silhouette for this campaign. So everybody's going to get a silhouette blockhead, and even if you get the digital tier, you'll get the PDF, so you could print out your own.
Silhouette blockhead just going to be one big black blockhead with eyes.
We'll see. He's going to have some guns too, I hope.
It's just going to be like one big black blockhead.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll just color it all in black, and I'll just put some eyes in there.
I know he's going to make it look badass, man. That guy's blockheads is awesome.
All right. So, and then we have the digital book, which is obviously digital. You can't sign that one. Signed book bonus comic, and that's obviously the main comic, and then the bonus one that comes with the stretch goals that gets bigger with stretch goals.
Right. Yeah. So this is going to be our featured tier when we sell out of the biz, right? We wanted the biz tier at the forefront so everybody could see it.
Naturally.
So this one is, your most content without that biz signed. It comes with the 60-page book signed by us. Then you get the bonus comic, which, has potential to be around 40 pages if we get all those stories in there. So it's another hefty book, right? And then that poster, which is going to be of that amazing cover.
Sweet.
Yeah. And then the next one's kind of crazy. This was like
masks. What's the mask?
The mask is something new we wanted to try. As you could see right there, Taz, she actually wears that mask to seal her identity, and it kind of has that reflection of Crim, right? So we're able to print up these ourselves. We have this, Crim Stone bandana that people could get. We're really surprised at how well it's doing. 17 people bought it. You can actually also add it on to any other perk that you choose. So yeah, check that out. It's going to have the Zaid Comics logo here, and on the other side, we're going to throw on the Crimstone logo as well. These are just like preliminary, prototypes, but something fun. A little merch, building up some merch.
Oh, there are certain people in particular, CG backers, that are all about the merch. They're all about the swag.
Yeah, Lola loves that stuff.
Yeah, Shay Zombie, she as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, I am contributor number 225.
Hail, brother!
I thought that I'd backed it before, but so yeah, everybody, that follow button is deadly. It makes you think that you've backed a project when you haven't. So always double check, and definitely don't miss out on this. How many of the biz covers, the signed biz books are left? 11, I think you said. 14
left.
Damn.
So what the double pack is?
Double pack is just 2 of the regular books, 2 posters, and 2 of the bonus books. If you want to save one or share it with a friend, drop it in the library. That stuff.
And then
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Drew.
I'm just trying to get through these tiers. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, man.
So we got lost pages plus bonus comic plus sketch. Now this is a sketch by who?
So you could choose. You could actually choose it to either be Joe Ball or Maria the Wolf, who is doing our Crimstone story. So they both do amazing traditional art. You can get a sketch from either of them.
Oh, excellent. And then this one, the retailer pack, is obviously designed for the retailers.
You get 4 of each book and 2 posters with that one.
Okay. And then the original
the big boys.
Book.
Yeah,
so these are actual pages from the stories, right?
Right. These are original art pages. The next 3 tiers are basically the same. They're just from depending on which story you want them from. So we got silhouette pages, we got Crimstone pages, and we got wildcard pages. With Masquerade. No, Masquerade is all digital, done by Alan. He draws it, inks it, colors it himself. Which is amazing within itself. He's doing the colors too. And then here we got the original Crim inside cover. We just showed that off yesterday. I actually picked it up from her because she lives really close to me, and the thing is super detailed. And we're selling that as well. It gives her a little extra money in her pocket too.
Sweet. And then you have the original double page art plus book.
So these are double page spreads. You're getting 2 big 11x17 sheets of an awesome action shot. One of them is Crimstone, as you can see, punching that guy in the face in that ring. And then the other one is going to be Wildcard. Joe's doing a crazy splash where he's throwing some fireballs at some skeleton pirates.
And then dang, $5,000 for the original Simon Beasley cover.
Yes, that's gonna, definitely didn't want to part with that one, but if we're going to, it's definitely going to help us out a lot.
You made it worth it if you part with it, I see.
For sure, yeah, because I love that cover.
You're like, I'm keeping this shit. It's $5,000. I'm keeping it.
And if you get that, it comes with everything, including the stickers, and your main book is going to be signed by the Biz as well.
Sweet. That's very awesome. So everybody check it out. It's at 13,618. It's probably a little higher than that now because Brian just backed it. So yeah, it jumped a lot. It's at 13,833. So it bumped a little bit during the show here.
Yeah, thank you everybody. Hail, that's amazing. Our next big stretch goal is at 15K, which we're going to add that extra story to the bonus comic by EJ Morgis and another trading card. So we hope we get there. We can't wait to bring you guys some more stories in this universe.
Fantastic. So everybody, if you haven't backed this book, go and get it backed right away. And then we are going to now talk to Chris, who is the editor on, right, Chris? You're editing?
That's right.
See if we can get this to
Florida Man. The headlines have become epitomized by one single man. It was all done by one guy.
That's awesome. Wow. What a great concept.
Yeah. It's crazy. This actually started about a year ago. Mike Barron, I guess everybody here knows Mike Barron. If you don't,
I've heard of him.
He's
comics legend.
You heard
Hall of Famer.
He is a legend, and he's a big fan of Bleeding Fool. And about a year ago, he came.
Would he be here in the chat? You talking about this Mike Barron right here?
Yeah, man. Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Hail, Mike Barron.
Hail, Mike Barron.
Yep.
Thank you for all those awesome Nexus comics. We were talking about those before at the beginning of the show, actually.
Yeah, I still have the original floppies.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, wow. Yeah, hang on to those. Mike just had a Kickstarter. Him and his wife ran a Kickstarter for his prose novel. He did a prose novel of Nexus. It was a quick hit. It successfully hit its mark, almost tripled it. And it's a prose novel so that he could go even deeper than what Steve Rude kind of wanted to do with his visuals. So I think you can still get it. It's on Kickstarter.
No kidding.
But he was ready to do that. And he came to me and asked, I think he showed me the cover to Florida Man. Todd Mulrooney is the artist. And that cover actually was colored by Brett Smith, if any of you guys know Brett. And I saw that cover and I said, Mike, you got to turn this into a comic book, because he had tried to pitch the idea. Okay, he just had a couple of character drawings and he tried to pitch the idea to a few publishers, and they were kind of hemming and hawing around. And he showed it to me and I said, man, you did this as a comic, because his publisher was saying, well, let's do it as a novel. And he did. He wrote it as a novel. You can get it on Amazon, but it's prose. And I said, man, let's do this as a comic. And he goes, well, do you want to edit it? You want to help me run the campaign? And I said, ooh, man. I said, I like to promote other people's campaigns. I don't know about running one. But, you know, every time we've interviewed you guys, either John Lemus or myself, when we interview you guys, one of the questions we ask is, how are you running your crowdfund? Or what have you learned? Or, you know, basically we've been picking your brain this whole time, all 300 and something comic books that we've promoted. And we've just said, okay, let's dump it all into a computer and let it spit out. So we're all listening to this computer telling us how to run this campaign. No, I'm kidding. But literally, we've learned a lot from a lot of you guys that have been doing this before us. And I've been happy to promote you guys. And I've always liked independent artists. And so here we are, and we're about a third of the way through. We started on Friday, and Mike's out doing podcasts and live streams himself, and Todd is too. These guys are really wanting to make this happen. And like right now for me, you know, superheroes as a genre has always been my favorite genre. And that's when I got started on Spider-Man and the Hulk and the Fantastic Four and Green Lantern and Aquaman. Yeah. But this is different. This is funny books. This is it's adult humor. It's PG-13. There's some stuff in there that you might be surprised to see.
Yeah.
But it's just, you know, it's you know, we like superheroes, but this ain't superheroes. And it's good. It's situational comedy. And Mike has really put this pattern together where things just build up. And this is like, you know, a cross between Joe Dirt or just Florida Man, you know, so he has his ups and his downs. Have you guys seen the video
No.
really just.
I'm dying
Okay.
to. I'm dying to.
Yeah, let me just shut up. It's right there. If you can play it and we can watch it, and you kind of get a gist of it.
All right, well let's give this a gander.
Hey man, y'all got beer still?
You've seen the stories. Now, writer Mike Barron and artist Todd Mulrooney are bringing the quintessential Florida man, Gary Duba, to life. Gary's just a regular guy living in a trailer with his girlfriend Crystal, but he's got dreams, big dreams. He just invented house suspenders that will secure any home to the ground in rough weather. And now he's going to show them off on Piranha Pool, the TV show where venture capitalists and entrepreneurs pony up if they like your pitch. But when his gal Crystal gains notoriety as an infamous amateur wrestler, she quickly advances to the pro circuit where her greatest challenge is an angry Australian grappler. Follow Gary and Crystal on their extraordinary journey from rags to riches. To rags, to riches, to rags, to riches. All while dealing with shady lawyers, toilet snakes, wild gators, cheating hearts, feral hogs, and problem shoppers. Back Florida Man today and reserve your very own copy of the Florida Man graphic novel. We're bringing back funny books, y'all.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Isn't that fun? Isn't that
Oh,
fun?
fantastic. Sold.
We
That
appreciate
was,
every backer.
man. Y'all are killing me, man. It's just
Yeah,
I'm gonna end up in debt because of all these awesome books.
yeah,
Oh,
well,
that's awesome. Thank you so much. Go down and you can see some of the art that Todd's put together, the concept. We got some really cool little add-on perks. If anybody's interested in, tchotchke and swag and that kind of stuff. But, we're just having fun with it, man. Todd's got all these clever little ideas, and Mike's really got a solid story, and he's so funny.
Great writer.
I knew he is a great writer. Yeah, they're just coming out in September with a hardcover collection of his Flash run, which I've already
heck yeah.
pre-ordered from. Yeah, that ought to be good. And Mike is just, man, he's just so skilled, and he's older. He's been there, he's done that, and we're just going to give it a good effort and try to push this book out there. He's got a lot more stories to tell. We've actually, we've got some interest outside of this, but right now we want to not only put this book out, we want to deliver it on time. We want it to be a solid product, and we want people to be entertained, mostly. We just want at the end of the book, when you're done reading it, we either want one of three things to happen. We either want you to turn around and read it again, turn around and loan it to somebody, or turn around and just be laughing, and say, this is one of my favorite books of the year. They're really putting their heart and sweat into it.
I love the lawyer's name, the attorney at law, the Habib Rodriguez. That's
Yeah.
that just sounds that's
Not
hilarious.
too
And
shady.
that's based on a real person.
That looks like Ben Henderson.
Hey. Yep, you got it. That's exactly
I knew it.
who that is. Yep,
Oh,
Ben
that's
did a
great.
nice little cameo for us. And, and it's kind of like, did any of you guys ever watch any reruns of the Dukes of Hazzard?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So that was sort of our Waylon Jennings narrator there, kind of telling you about the next little jam that
Yeah, that's
Lloyd
awesome.
and Lyle and all those guys are getting into.
That's an excellent trailer. It certainly it conveys what you want it to. It lets you know what kind of a book this is, and I am backer number 54.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's
backing,
awesome,
brother,
guys.
backing all night. Hail,
That's
Brian.
awesome.
Can't help it, man. These books are just too hot.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
I think this one's going to be hot. We've had a couple of, I'll just say we've had some outside interests looking at it already. And I just told Mike, let's just finish it. Let's just do this from start to finish ourselves independently. And then if there's still interest, then we'll go wherever we need to go. But Mike is just a legend, and it's just been an honor to work with him. About once a week, we get together on Zoom and just kind of talk strategy and what we're doing. And Mike's just been a great guy. What's he saying here? Habib will get you the money you deserve. He'll get you paid. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. You've got, Hall of Famers like Mike that want to get into crowdfunding, but maybe don't know the ropes. The great thing is there is this community of indie creators that are happy to share what they've learned, things that you can learn from our successes. You especially can learn from our blunders, as I always say. And all you have to do is just reach out to us. And, we got to get you guys on the network, which is to say Graded Point 5, Antonio Bryce, maybe I'm sure Clint Stoker would be happy to have you guys, and just get you going on all the shows.
Do the rounds, brother.
Yeah, do the rounds.
Yeah, we would love it. We that's the one thing we don't do enough of is, I've been doing Bleeding Full for 3 years, and I've been on one live stream. Like, this is my second one. You guys are my second one.
Yeah.
We are honored. We're honored. And at first it's awkward as hell, at least it was for me, but it gets easier.
Well, my business, Bleeding Full is not, it's really a sort of a passion kind of thing for me, I guess you might say.
It shows.
I don't do it. Yeah, I don't do it for money because there is none. I do it for actually to kind of thumb our nose at Bleeding Cool. Obviously, right? And to give some attention to indie comics and kind of a narrative that we're interested in putting out there too. It's not just straight news, obviously, that we promote.
Yeah, sure.
Mike Barron says that he's working with Antonio.
I know that's all.
Yeah, I heard that. I heard Antonio
that's awesome.
talking about that a few months ago.
That's great.
Yep. He's prolific.
Most definitely.
Yeah, this book looks like a lot of fun.
Those babes.
This scene here with the rabbit.
Have any of you fellows lived in Florida?
I actually have lived in Florida. I lived in Miami for a while, and Phil lives in Florida. So.
Gotcha.
I don't.
You don't live in Florida?
No.
I thought you guys were in Florida. Where do you guys live?
Chicago, brother. You just think that because of Magic Cop.
Yeah,
you're
right.
Chicago.
And our dashing good looks.
You're right. You guys, I have done that to you before, actually, where I accused you of living in Florida, and you told me you lived in Chicago. Yeah, I have done that to you before.
Chicago's an awesome town. I did the C2E2 convention there and just had a blast.
Yeah. That convention's so good.
It is. It's just the right size, and the food is easy to find.
yeah.
It's
good food at the McCormick place. It's awesome. My dad actually worked on that building. He's a construction worker, and I think he laid the foundation for the new McCormick place.
It's a beautiful convention center,
yeah.
And it's the opposite of the New York Comic Con. Which is at the Javits Center, which is just the worst.
Yeah.
You pay $8 for a stale pretzel.
Yeah.
Joe Comstock drew the rabbit.
Do you guys know Joe Comstock? That's the guy that did that pinup for us.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
The rabbit. Yeah. That's the cool thing about working with Mike is we've invited a lot of, if we hit some stretch goals and tiers, like Phil, I was so impressed about you getting Simon Biz to do that cover. I love his work. He's one of those artists when the first time I saw McFarlane, you know what I mean? It's so stylized, but not ugly stylized, just cool metal stylized.
Badass.
And, he stood out to me. Yeah, badass, exactly. And so Mike has invited several friends to sort of join us on this journey, this bizarre adventure. So we hope, I think we're going to hit our goals. We didn't come out and do 6 figures in 24 hours or anything like that, but I think we're going to hit our goal, and we've got some fun stuff, some fun surprises. I'll just say that. More pinups and things like that. And that's actually a real Florida Man headline, the bunny fight.
No way.
The one thing about Florida, when I saw this book, the first thing that came into my mind is a thing that we have a tradition of stories that we have in this area called freak news. And now the freak news, about 85% of the time, it would be somebody from Florida.
Yep.
It's true what they say about
It's uncanny.
truth being stranger than fiction.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Mike can't write quite what we read in the headline. Some of the stories,
Right.
No, you can't put that in the book.
Yep.
Nice little headshot that the artist Todd did. Notice the Nexus logo there behind Mike.
Yep.
And all his pedigree.
Yeah.
Todd.
Most definitely.
Yeah. That's not Iksan, but Iksan is our colorist. He's from Indonesia. He's fantastic. And I don't know if our letterer's on there, but we don't have any of the letterer's work up on the campaign yet. But we're getting her done.
So your colorist is from Indonesia.
That's right.
That's so cool. That's the great thing about this age that we're living with the technology. Yeah. We can collaborate with people like anywhere.
Right. And even in like the 90s, I'm sure that was super hard to do, right? Now you see people's work from, I worked with a guy, he's got a short story in the bonus comic, and he's from the Philippines. And he's incredible, right? These guys are super hardworking. And now I was asking him, I'm like, hey, can you free to do another story? And he's like, no, I'm doing like tryouts for Marvel and DC. Like,
nice.
Jesus.
Nice. Yeah. Hail Pablo Marcos, by the way, speaking of the Philippines.
Yeah. Hey, we're like the farm league, though. I think crowdfunding is the new farm league. So Marvel and DC see some of this talent we're putting on. They go, we got to scoop that guy up.
Yep.
Or gal, for that matter. Sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, Marvel and DC.
Lunchbox?
Oh, it looks awesome.
That's so fun.
Isn't that crazy?
So cool. Yeah, that's something we want to do for the next Magic Hop. That would be fun.
Oh,
there you go. Oh, that's totally a Magic Cop lunchbox. Gotta bring that back. Yeah. And put your trading cards in there or whatever, man.
Yeah, I'll have to talk to you guys about the lunchbox.
Yeah, that can't be a cheap thing to put together, the lunchbox.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, that's the thing. We Todd was on Art T-Bear's stream the other day.
Oh, excellent.
And when he saw the pricing that we were offering some of these tiers, he said, man, you guys aren't making any money. And I kind of went, maybe we didn't price it right. But, once you launch the campaign, you've launched it. We're not going in the hole, I'll say that. But some of this stuff is expensive, especially the last item that we've got listed.
Well, you also learn from every campaign. Like I had to jack up the price on my trade paperback, which I hated doing. But it's just like, how am I going to fund the next book? If I don't make a profit.
I was thinking this image here, this one with the cartoon can influence one.
Yeah.
That one needs to be a full size poster. You need to do that like 18 by or at least 17 by 11. But I would love to see it as a 36 by 24 or bigger poster, because that is.
The beast towel is perfect, though. That's hilarious, man.
Yeah, it is. It's fantastic.
Yeah, that's actually the most expensive thing on the for cost wise. But yeah, it's beautiful. Todd, we were just having a strategy session leading up to this, and it was me and Todd and Mike. And Mike, I don't know if it was Mike or me, but one of us said, "Man, we were like doing an old, really kitschy postcard." And he's like, he looked for some ideas and stuff like that. And then finally one of us said, might have been me, said, let's do the copper tone ad, with the little kid getting its shorts pulled down by the puppy. Except let's do it with a gator. And man, Todd just did a beautiful job, just a beautiful job.
Hilarious.
And we actually used this. This is going to be our exclusive postcards. So this will be on one side of the postcard. The other side will be the cover and a white, where the stamp, where you put the stamp. But we're going to let them use those for autographs and things like that. We're going to include those postcards in the people who got in early on the mailing list. We had I don't know how many we had on our mailing list starting out, but any of them that went ahead and signed up are getting these cards. And then it's also a add-on for like $5 for 5 postcards, I think, in the on page 2 or whatever.
That's so cool.
I'm feeling very triggered. I'm feeling very triggered by that lovely shot of that woman's backside.
Derriere.
Yeah.
We actually used that image when Todd drew it. when we were looking for a colorist, and we had 4 or 5 colorists do just a tryout, and we didn't give them any instruction. We said, here, just do it. And that's what Ixan did. And man, we were just, you got it. You're the man.
Yeah, for sure.
And he's
Beautiful.
fast. He's fast too. He's fast. Yeah.
That's excellent.
Thank you
Excellent
guys so
work.
much.
I'm looking forward to this one. This is going to be pretty cool.
Most definitely.
Too.
I love the truck here. This is really cool.
Yeah,
It's
this
beautiful.
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say, like, you're talking about how like this is not a hero book; it's more of a comedy thing. But that's awesome because you don't see that a lot, right? You don't see a lot of just comedic comics anymore.
Yeah.
The only other thing I could think is like a book that's out right now is like Cecil's book, right? That's gonna be totally a farce. And yeah, this is really cool.
Merry Boys.
Right. Oh, well, you got some action there.
Yeah, Mary Boys. What about Adam Post's? Is his Zombie High School? Is that comedy too? I think it is.
No,
right,
that's not really a
Adam?
comedy.
No,
Yeah.
it's horror.
No, it's
Okay.
horror.
You take
It's
it like
horror.
literal
Okay.
horror, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, my bad.
Yeah.
But
You know,
it's cool seeing all the different genres that are coming out of all the indie scene and Comicsgate and all that stuff. It's awesome.
We have diversity of product. We have diversity of genre, for sure. And every project, you know, there's so many projects that are just awesome that I have to back because they're passion projects. And you know, you've got all these incredible artists. I'm blown away by the amount of talent that I see in this scene. It's just astounding. And you think to yourself, why aren't these people working for the majors? And then you look at the majors, Marvel and DC, they're getting their artists off of Tumblr and their writers off of Twitter.
Yeah.
And it's just like, that's the competition? That's why they have to call us names, is because, well, my goodness, when you compare...
That's all you got.
Yeah. They can't hang.
No, and that's why I said
this
earlier,
fucking-
you know, we're all Mavericks. We're all Mavericks. We're doing our thing. And you're right, Phil and Brian. It's just that there's this diversity of content. That's that same truck right there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it reminds me of a 1953. It's obviously a Chevy inspired, Apache inspired.
Yeah.
I know my classics, so it's like I was actually like sitting here googling the different 53 and that 50 Apaches to see if I could find one that has that exact grill setup, because I'm like,
That's
like,
awesome.
is that one actually modeled after a real one, or is it just like inspired?
We'd have to ask Todd. I just told him I saw it and I said, man, that is freaking beautiful.
Yeah.
Maybe we turn that into a sticker or something, you know. I don't know, man. It's just
Well,
fire.
it's got the Chevy logo on it, and then, or at least in it, Chevy, close to Chevy logo on it, and then it definitely has the Apache lift on the hood. So it's like, I'm thinking definitely Chevy Apache, but I can't find the matching grill yet.
You'll find it.
Car
If it's
guy
there, I'll
over
find
here.
Oh, yeah. Drew is definitely a classic car guy.
Oh man,
Nice.
yeah.
Not only
I-
the host of the
I-
show, but a car guy. What can you pinpoint the van right there in the
Oh wait, where's the van? That one?
right there?
Oh yeah, that's easy. That's a Volkswagen van right there. That is looks like a side window. So I would say that one's probably a 64. Looks like, because of the back bumper.
Man, you're uncanny, Drew.
He's an expert over here. I was looking at that hot babe. I didn't even notice the van.
Man, doesn't she look like a Frazetta creation or something
Yes.
from the old Andy Cap days or something? Wow.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's, you know, you could, if you tried to do this, if Image or Dark Horse or any of like the major indies put this out, there'd be hell to pay. There's no way that they would have. I mean, she's wearing Daisy Dukes, for crying out loud.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, too triggering. A beautiful female body.
When I first
But
saw this,
wouldn't you be
I
happy?
openly laughed. I openly laughed at the fact there's a pile of toilet paper and kegs of beer. You know what I mean?
No, that's moonshine
it says
sanitizer.
Yeah, it does say sanitizer. So
Yeah, it's moonshine
That's hilarious.
sanitizer. It's just they're recycling and repurposing their leftover kegs.
That's hilarious.
She's actually got a bottle of moonshine up on her shoulder.
Oh
There
yeah, I
you
can
go.
see it. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a
Excellent.
jug of shine.
Yeah. So we've got an Irishman, we've got a Cuban, Florida man's part Cuban. We got a Jewish guy. We've actually got a transvestite, or should I say, a transgender woman
Who knows
in
nowadays?
this, who's Jamaican. So
Oh.
we're totally diverse. We've got all those boxes ticked.
Wait, a transgender
it's-
woman that's Jamaican. So that's just
Yeah.
funny because
It's
Jamaicans
and she's on that second page, I think.
Okay.
If you scroll down, she's flipping them off. Yeah,
because Jamaicans are traditionally
right there.
Oh yeah,
Like,
yeah. Looks so
There she
goofy.
is.
Look at that.
Go down a little bit. There
Oh, right
she
here.
is.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
who that
Right,
is.
Patrice. And she's the one got him in a chokehold at the
Flipping
end.
the double bird.
Look at choke slam on Jesus.
well, she
So
must
that's
have
a little
tuck-
stakeout. Yeah,
If she's
there was a
Jamaican.
little
She's got that tucked back for sure. If she's Jamaican, let me tell you.
Yeah, she's tough.
God, bro.
But she's got a heart of gold, and they all do, really. I mean, there's some law breaking in this. It's not for kids. Okay, I'll just say that right now. The book's not for kids, but kids will love it. I will say that too. And it's PG-13. It's situational. There's talk about drugs. There's no drug use. But there's talk about it. There's some violence. There's some salty language. So it is that kind of book. It won't get published in Dark Horse or something like that.
So you would say that the age range for this would be 15 and up?
Yeah, I think 14, 15 and up is for sure
Yeah,
is a good
yeah.
age for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's not going to be anything, there's no gore in it, and there's no full frontal nudity or anything like that, but it's situational and it's language.
It looks
Gore,
fantastic.
full frontal nudity. Two of my favorite things.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, right? Mine too. We got to go back to the Savage Sword of Conan for that, I'm afraid.
Right?
Yeah.
But I'm
Yeah.
showing my age now.
Yeah, speaking of Pablo Marcos.
Exactly. Speaking of non-English speaking genius artists.
Yeah, man.
Of course, Captain Love does have both gore and full frontal nudity.
Yes.
Oh,
Beautiful.
yeah.
Yes, it
He
does.
He went there.
Yeah,
Yes.
man. Yeah, man. Well, the book's called Captain Love. There better be some loving in it.
No kidding.
There's definitely some loving in it. That's
Yeah.
for sure.
How is the Captain Love campaign going? I had it pulled up earlier. Are you
Well,
guys?
the first book is actually pushing 10K after like 9 months of just of plugging along, and then the second book, the first chapter, I'm doing that one in chapters, and the
Yeah.
first chapter, that one just recently wrapped up. I'm trying to get it ready to go to print, and then
Nice.
that everybody should have their chapter 1 by July. That one is it's 13. I think it's at 13.8
Yep.
right now.
Wow,
looking at
that's
it now.
awesome, man.
Yeah, 13.880. Yeah.
That's so
Yeah.
cool.
Hail
That's Rise of
true.
the Pirate King.
Yeah, hail
So,
brother. It's
know,
so cool to see the progression and you getting more fans and numbers growing, man. That's like when we launched the Lost Pages. I was nervous because it's something different than people know us for Magic Hop, and the whole indie climate was going whack. The whole world is out of whack. But seeing guys like Drew and Adam Post with their second campaigns even being bigger, that was great to see, and a lot of motivation for us.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
chapter two is almost done too. So like I'll probably be launching that. Hopefully, I'm like hopefully getting to launch that one. Like after I fulfill. Like I'll be throwing up the mailing list and for a short period of time and pushing that, and then getting like I'm hoping in August, if not hopefully the beginning of August, I'm trying to get that thing
That would
launched.
be great. Yeah.
Yeah, so I can get chapter 2 out there, get it fulfilled, and then delivered to people in time for Christmas, and still beat the Halloween die down from from the sale die down that happens in October.
Yeah.
Well, I think the dream, at least for me, would be if we could make our books quarterly.
Oh,
Right?
yeah.
Like I'm definitely going to be
Well-
releasing Six Gun Gorilla number 8. Hopefully, should say hopefully 6 Gun 8, like sometime later this year. But if we could get to the point where we're quarterly,
Yeah.
that would just be fantastic.
That'd be great.
The dream for me would be to produce a 24-page book quarterly, 24 to 32-page book quarterly, but have them done in advance so that I
Right.
can release them monthly,
Right.
and then have several books running at once, as well as my film project stuff. That's my dream. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
I hear that.
that's a long time from now, because there's a lot between here and there. So,
but we're still building this thing. This is, it's like it's a living organism, and it's mutating, and who knows what it's going to become. But my second campaign has done double of what my first campaign did. I find that, like, once you fulfill on your first book, and people go to the twatter, and they see people holding up your book, saying great things about it, that then people feel more comfortable giving you their money. Because what are we doing? What is Indiegogo? It's the honor system. People are basically giving their money to a stranger and expecting us to live up to our side of the bargain.
Did you see, Brian, what Mike Barron just said in the chat?
No. 16 Gorilla is better than anything. The big. Oh, you're too kind, Mike. You're too kind. You're too kind, sir.
It's beautiful,
praise,
Brian.
brother.
It's beautiful. Gosh,
Thank
it's
you.
so gorgeous. The work, and it's one of those concepts in my mind. It's like Florida Man, because it's like you don't really have to get into the description. Based on the name alone. Okay, I got to see what this is. I got to see what this is. Yeah.
It sells itself.
Brian.
Oh, thank you so much.
I'm proud of all you guys. Been rooting for you guys, using Bleeding Fool to kind of try and signal boost as many of you guys as we can.
We appreciate that so much.
Yes.
Oh, I know you guys do. We get that. We get that feedback all the time, and I appreciate you guys. It's kind of like we've invested in you guys, and now you guys are showing this campaign some love, and kind of maybe recognition or reciprocate a little bit of that.
Heck yeah! That's the way that this group, this network works.
Yeah, I don't really see it as like paying back a debt. I kind of more see it as like paying forward all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's it.
Because like if I like thought about like the amount of work that I put out versus the return, I would want to put my head in a closet. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I tell everybody that in the indie community, you got to think. Give more than take. You got to give more than take. You got to think that way out the gate. You got to give. You're giving of your writing skills. You're giving of your talents, whether you're artist or whatever. You're giving the talents, but then you're also giving. You have to give of your personality. You have to give. You have to be willing to open to like, okay, you know what? I have this tip that this person could really benefit from. I should share that with them, and then not expect stuff in return. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And just and it's like if we all did that, we would all rise together. So
absolutely,
what's happening, brother? Yeah, for sure.
I always say that this is a pay it forward community. Adam Lawson just got is doing really great with the 8th. I'm happy to see, and he shot me a message and was just like, "Oh, thanks, man. Thanks for introducing me to this community." And I'm just like, I owe you one. I'm like, you don't owe me shit.
By the way, Adam's coming on Horror
forward.
Talk. Adam's coming on Horror Talk on the 29th.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Such.
Edward said there, like, that should be the goal, to put mainstream comics to shame with better stories and art. And Mike goes, "Ain't that hard?" I know.
they have set the bar pretty low, haven't they?
Yeah.
Yep.
Pretty much.
It's really like it's really a money game. The thing that the mainstream has over us is an existing market reach and the funds to do all this stuff up ahead of time and major printing and all that. I mean, that's basically if I had the same level of funds, Captain Love would be sitting on the shelves in every comic book store, and then the graphic novel would be sitting in every bookstore and online in every bookstore. It would be there, and then I'd be spending the time marketing,
Yeah.
But
like I said,
we don't have that. So,
like I said before, mainstream comics right now, it's reminding me like that little skit in Family Guy where they go, "Here's communist TV." You got shoeless. Here's shoe. They go well together. The end. And that's it. That parody. Every time I think, like, that cookie cut stupid fucking thing, and you're like, yeah. Like, you look at their Flash, you look at Arrow, and everything they do. So that guy's not special. He needs all that people to actually make him a full person, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And you're like, and everything's about now. The story's about them having a cappuccino, though.
Yeah.
Well, and they don't believe in heroes. They don't believe in heroes because they also don't believe in evil. You know?
Yeah, but dude, that's the thing, is that they're so
ooh,
hard
good
on
point.
killing that hero's quest type of thing.
Yeah.
That right now they're making the hero like the dislikable person, and they're trying to make all the evil characters likable, like the sympathy for the devil type of thing. So it's like now all the bad guys are technically anti-heroes, and well, your heroes are douches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
well, I think it's like your boy Zach said, that if SJWs had superpowers, they would use them to hurt you.
Yeah, and they keep saying it, like,
Well,
we want you to disappear, we want you to go.
Yeah, the thing is about villains is people, a lot of people love the villain more. You know what I mean? And that's more of I think a recent phenomenon. I noticed it after the Phantom Menace came out, that people were starting to like before the Phantom Menace, people weren't really fanboying Darth Vader. You know what I mean? But after the Phantom Menace, people started fanboying Anakin Skywalker, and then it was like Darth Vader is like the hero. You know what I mean?
That could be explained in two factors, right? In psychology, they say the love to hate factor, right? There's some characters that can be so despicable that you just love hating them.
Yes.
Right? And then you have the understandable, the one that got turned into the bad guy.
Right.
That
the
has
tragic
the background.
villain.
Yeah, the tragic villain. And then
that's the stories. Those are the tragic villains are the stories that have been coming out a lot more recently. I think that's where we get, like you said, sympathy for the devil kind of thing.
But there's
a lot more of those recently.
Then in the comic
Joker
book medium,
is a good example.
In the comic book medium, since they're superheroes, well, your villains needs to be super as well. So, everybody, when they design their characters, create their characters being good or bad, you need to make them interesting and likable, that people like to look at them and like to hate them. Like, we all like Von Doom. The design is awesome. That's why it can come to play. But what they're doing right now, it's totally fucking stupid. It's everybody's just a cookie baked person and can just decide to fit that story just because it's easier that way, so they can grab that cappuccino faster and talk about the emotions. Their fifis.
Yeah,
the pregnant Catwoman stories are killing me, man. When I see
Tom King for most of it, yeah.
Yeah, this whole the simping Batman and the pregnant Catwoman thing. I just can't
the Bat Bucket! Don't talk about the Bat Bucket. I know where that's going too. I ain't gonna say where that's going, but I know exactly what.
It's gonna be hella funny if the baby's like Two-Face's baby or something like that.
Oh, I don't think.
Bane's baby.
I'm not gonna.
It's gonna come out jacked and addicted to venom. Yeah.
Oh, that would be great. But you see, that would be cool, and that would be fun. That would be funny, at least,
And then you got like Damian Wayne.
It's gonna break Batman's spirit. He's gonna go around. He's gonna sit on an island, somewhere without his cowl and sit there and just his hands in his head.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just pouting like a freaking wuss.
Yep.
But it's one of the things I thought was funny is that if you remember Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo, when they restarted the Batman thing for New 52 there, which was like one of the only good part of New 52.
Yeah.
The idea was to restart and put an end to all that stupid Bat family that was overly extended. And then within 6 issues or something, hey, what? We even brought some more. If they're even more of a family, then it makes you think of those 60s Batman at this point.
Well,
and your Batman is a bad fodder figure because you just punched Robin in a goddamn face for no goddamn reason. They're like,
there would be a lot more deaths if there was actually a Bat family. You know what I mean? That would make sense, because eventually someone's just gonna walk up with a gun and like, okay, thank. You know what I mean? It's like done.
Well,
It's like
So-
when Frank Miller did it in Batman and Robin thing, right? There's a part where Batman just freaking punches Robin, right? But one, it's because he goes too far, almost kills the Green Lantern, and the other one's because dude, he sees him as a soldier. It's part of the story, right?
Mhm.
Well,
Right.
what they were doing in the actual continuity, dude, he's just a fucking douchebag that just decided to beat Robin and punch him in the face because he disagreed with him. You're like, what?
Well,
Yeah.
the thing about
Yeah,
the thing about most of the other characters in Batman is they're not as trained as Batman, but yet they're battling on the same scale as Batman is. Even though they don't have, the training with Ra's al Ghul, you know what I mean, Ra's al Ghul, and
Yeah,
all
but
the
Batman
other stuff
trained them.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
yeah.
excuse me. Yeah.
Well, I remember
That's the
Dennis
excuse,
O'Neill. May he
Batman didn't train.
may he
Batman
rest in
didn't train
peace.
Wait, Batman didn't train Barbara Gordon.
No, but it's like but it's like even he did.
No.
After she
that-
became
that-
Batgirl.
She became Batgirl, then he trained her after.
Yeah.
Exactly.
What I'm trying to say
Right.
is like, yeah, but the perfect example would be, look, if you look at Kung Fu, Karate, or all those martial arts, you have somebody like that Bruce Lee came in, learned a bit of everything, came up with Jakundo, and there you go. He was teaching a different type of martial art, which was his own. So this is technically what they're going on with Batman.
Right.
It's like that guy learned his own martial art, which is the Bat way.
What were you saying about
Exactly.
Denny O'Neill, Brian?
Denny, may he rest in peace. He said that the whole purpose of the Bat family is so that there are stakes, because Batman ain't going nowhere.
Yeah.
He's not getting killed. But of course, Barbara Gordon can get, shot in the spine and paralyzed by the Joker.
Yeah, that was hot.
So it's a way. So it's a way of creating stakes.
Terrible.
That
I
he
found
can
the
suffer a
chart.
personal
That's cool.
loss.
Well, the
found the
thing is,
chart.
I think with comics today, they're either deconstructing, which
Oh.
I'm tired of them deconstructing,
Oh God.
or it's got to be something epic, or it's got to be something that's just completely out of character, like a Ryan Johnson, Luke Skywalker thing. Back when
Right.
Yeah.
Denny was at the height, they would do Batman stories where he was a detective, and it wasn't always a supervillain. It might just be somebody, something really small time, but the story was the mystery, and the mystery being solved. There were some fights, because it's Batman, but that wasn't what it was all about. You found it. Oh my gosh. I bet Todd's watching right now. Todd, if
Drew's
you're
next
watching,
level, man. I'm
please
telling you.
confirm. Oh man, look at that.
That's
Yeah,
sexy. Look at that.
beautiful.
It is.
That's beautiful.
Yeah,
My,
that's
grand,
gorgeous.
my grandfather had one of those.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the funny thing is we were riding it, right? And it was all red his, right? And one car decided to just ram us in the back. Like he didn't brake, right? The truck barely fucking had a scratch, dude. It's all right. We just had the head bump towards the end. That guy was done. They had to tow him out. The car was done.
Yeah, man.
That's so
all metal.
badass. Those
All
old cars, man. Those old cars.
All metal. Yeah.
Yep, all metal.
That's definitely the same truck right there.
Yeah, you
Oh,
nailed
that's
it.
classic.
You nailed
I'll
it.
never forget that moment, dude. I was a kid sitting in the middle seat, because that's one big couch. So I was sitting in the middle,
yeah.
and all you hear, no seatbelt, no nothing, just like a head bump going. Poof. Oh, we got hit in the back, and that car was done. Totally.
Let me tell you. Okay, I used to have a 1953 Chevy Apache. I really did. Not very much like this one right here. Okay, seriously, that's how come I was able to track it down really fast.
Yeah. So it wasn't a superpower.
No, it wasn't. Well, I do have that. I do have I don't know if it's a superpower, but I do have an obsession with classic cars, and I can pick them out from like crazy. Like the one back there behind it, it looks like it looks like, it's kind of hard to see, but it looks like it's almost like a Pinto or something.
Okay.
I can't really tell because the way it's stretched. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the headlights and the color setup looks kind of it's like a Ford of some kind, and the way that the back is, I can't tell if that's got a trunk or if it's cut to a Pinto, a hatchback. But these things are really super tough. And they're notoriously, because of the way that the brake cylinders work, the brakes
Yeah.
go out notoriously because the brake fluid will drain out of this little teeny tiny cylinder. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But you have a little thing in the foot of right underneath the driver's seat. There's a little like plug you can pull out, and then you can turn the thing of the brake cylinder and fill it again right there. So while you're driving at a red light, you can fill it with brake fluid.
Huh.
You know what I mean?
So weird.
That's
Yeah.
badass.
Trust me, I had done it, and then but there was one time when I was driving in the morning and I forgot to check the brake fluid before I went, and the brakes weren't stopping, and I was heading towards traffic, and I had to turn it into a driveway, and and obviously it wasn't stopping, so I actually hit a tree, right?
Oh,
It put a dent in the bumper,
Oh.
Yeah.
right? But that was it.
Yeah.
It was like, and I mean, I hit it probably at like 40 miles an hour because there was no stopping power.
Jesus.
Yeah,
what color was it?
it was actually primer gray.
Okay, right on. I love that color.
Yeah, it was a Chevy Apache 250 actually, long bed step side. I actually missed that truck. I sold
I'll
it
bet.
for $3,500. And I ended up buying
Wow.
I ended up buying a 1964 Mercury Comet with
Wow.
the sale money from that, which
Yeah.
is this car right here.
Oh, wow.
No,
Oh.
Hey,
Which is-
the artist for Florida Man says that's an El Dorado. He's in the chat. He's Ignition. Get tuned in.
hey.
The car in the back is an
Yeah,
Eldorado.
that's Todd
That is-
Mulrooney. Yeah, he says it's an El Dorado in the back. Yep.
Yeah, it's hard to see with being that I'm looking at it
The
small.
perspective. Yeah.
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 But,
And the colors are a little dark. It's at nighttime. But yeah, Todd's really got a knack for drawing the vehicles. You got to see this. Well, I don't want to give it away, but it's a cross between a riding mower and a Harley or a chopper.
Yeah.
So.
But it's definitely a Ford. That much I was able to. I was like,
Yeah,
that's
you're
a
right.
Ford.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Man, you guys have been so good to me. I can't stay on much longer, but let me say something real quick about Bleeding Full. I appreciate all the people that jumped on Florida Man while we were here. Listen, anytime you've got a new project, okay, and you're about to kick off a campaign or something like that, just send a message to
Yep.
us at Bleeding Full on Twitter or contact@bleedingfull.com. You can even reach out. John Lemus is the guy that kind of runs Indie Comics Showcase.
Yeah.
Even if I do all the interviews, it still comes under his byline. And he's been really hard at work promoting indie comics just all the time on his Twitter feed. So if you go to indie_comics, or I think it's Indie Comics Showcase, he's going to kill me for not knowing exactly what it was. But just go to Twitter because John will be involved. And we want to keep supporting it. I don't want to use Bleeding Full to be the Florida Man hub. It's great to be kind of running this as a side thing, and I know it's going to do well. And I want it to launch Todd, and I want it to really help Mike out to get this book out. But I'm just having a good time and loving working with these guys. But we're going to keep doing what we're doing at Bleeding Full the same way we have been. So just stay in touch with us. Share and retweet if you like. I don't care. We don't make any more money if we get retweets or not, but it boosts. It does boost our indies, and we put indies out every Wednesday. We've got 3 more coming out tomorrow, so check it out. And guys, it's been an honor. I'd love to do it again. Maybe as we get closer to the end of the campaign, maybe I could get Mr. E. Drew there to have me back on or something. Maybe we can get Mike and Todd on here.
I think
awesome.
we should get all 3 of you on together. That would be awesome.
That'd be awesome.
Heck yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
let's try to do that here in about 3-4 weeks or something like that as we're coming in for a landing, and I'll reach back out to you and we'll make it happen.
Awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
And we appreciate what you've been doing for the community.
By the way, your book went up $100 while we were talking. So
Oh man,
Yeah.
it was totally worth it.
Yeah.
No, listen, we love you guys and we love the indie, and I appreciate all the kind words and the support, and obviously appreciate you guys down with Bleeding Full, and of course Florida Man. We'll keep it up. Thanks for inviting me, and guys, just keep doing what you're doing, and keep your noses clean. If there's one thing that we don't want to do, is while we are trying to make the majors look at us and go, man, that was a great idea. We should have done that. We don't want to trip up and fall in a pile of cow shit or something while we're trying to do stuff, right?
Oh, that's
Hopefully
definitely true.
Excellent
That's
point.
definitely
Yeah.
true.
Yeah, let's just
Excellent
keep
point.
our noses clean and do right. And I know there's a lot of infighting that happens in this community. We've been the brunt of it. We've been accused of it. We've been Ethan's billboard. We've been Ethan's enemy, and none of that by Ethan, by the way.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, we've had our own writers turn around and really make asses of themselves. We don't run
Oh, we know,
everybody
brother.
through some vetting process. You know what I mean? We're just, if you've got some good writing and some opinions that kind of align with us, you can write for us. So we're just out here trying to do our thing and promote. And I appreciate the support, guys.
We appreciate the
brother,
support
yeah.
you've been giving us, brother.
Sure, man.
Definitely.
Right
Yeah,
back at you.
definitely. We're actually glad to have you as part of this big community, man. It's you know, and Todd does amazing work. You know,
Yes, he does.
Mike is also an excellent writer. I looking forward to reading this.
Yeah,
You know,
man.
and the story seems like a lot of fun. I freaking love, you know, Florida man freak news type of stuff. So it's right up my humor. Oh wait, is that a Datsun right there?
Yes. Well, the one with the louvers. I can't tell if it's a Datsun or maybe it's a Celica Supra. You know, could it be a Celica?
I don't know with the fins on the back window like that.
That's true. That's Datsun. I'd have to ask Joe Comstock. We'll find out.
Yeah.
If you'll in our little video for the campaign, there's a bunch of news headlines and they're all real Florida man headlines. I mean, this is it's bizarre, it's zany, it's going to be funny, it's going to be fun. And Mike's got many more volumes of this. So there's like one big ongoing arc that could keep on going, but this is going to finish its arc and it's going to be fun. And if it's a big one and done, we've all had a good time. But Mike's got, I mean, he's a visionary. And,
yeah, he is.
Yeah, man.
I'm humbled and honored to work for him. Humbled and honored to be pushing you guys and helping you guys out anytime. So listen, it's Chris Brawley. That's my Twitter handle, but you can also get through to me or any of us on Bleeding Fool and show us your books and we'll get you in there, guys. Okay.
Heck yeah.
Definitely. You can count on us and on helping you push, man. That's for sure. So.
Man, I really appreciate it. Thank you, guys. Thanks for the solidarity and the help, and God bless. And we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah.
God bless you, man.
Have a good night, man.
You on.
Thank you. See you guys.
Much love.
You, man.
This book does look good. Make sure you guys.
Yeah, it does.
What a guy.
Yeah, man. Awesome.
Cool guy.
Very cool guy. And and Bleeding Fool has been my go-to comics news source since, CBR got all woke, and of course, Bleeding Cool has just always been trash.
Yeah.
Those aren't journalists, they're activists.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, well, I think the reason why they're bleeding cool is because they don't have it in them anymore. It's bleeding out.
There you go. That works for me.
So we're at the 2-hour point, and I think we got a really good get some momentum here. Sim, do you want to show us your proof for your book?
Yeah, let's see that bad boy.
Let's see if there's any light in his room first, though.
No, there's not that much. It's late. I don't think that. No, see.
There you go, brother.
Oh.
With the spine and everything.
Oh yeah, boy.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, boy.
Look at that glossy all black sheen. It's beautiful, man.
Nice.
Yeah, it's got a nice shine to it, brother.
Oh, looking forward to my copy.
Hold on, let me open somewhere that's it's no spoilers because something you've all seen somewhere. Hold on, there we go.
Yeah.
I paid for the enriched black. I don't know if you guys know what it means, but it means that the black is pure black on white.
Damn,
so
that's
there's
cool.
even a little glow on it.
Sweet.
Beautiful, man.
Yeah.
Sweet.
So it's the color treatment, but in black and white.
Yeah,
Sexy, brother.
it's a full color comic with just black and white.
That's the printing process. Yeah, except you don't get jet dependent like the inks and stuff.
Very
That's
cool.
awesome, man.
Yeah, it looks
Exciting.
amazing. Can't wait to get my copy.
Very, very cool, man. That's just awesome. All right, everybody, subscribe, hit the like button. Thank you for coming out, everybody. Got Lothar D. We got Todd in there still. Michael Beacon. Let's see who else came. Let's see. Edward
Great
Marlis.
viewers.
Hale. Look, we got Zaid Comics in the chat.
Hey.
Bleeding Pool. Hex Allen. Hey, good to see you. Mike Barron, of course. Edwin the Ace. Excellent seeing you, brother. Let's see here. Hex Allen again. We got Simon Portier. Who the fuck's that?
I don't know.
DJ2. Oh, wait. Yeah, he said something really nice about Captain Love. Gonna highlight that.
I don't know, but you
Yeah,
seem
yeah.
to not like him, and he's been sharing links all along.
Sim.
Well, quit talking shit on my friend Simon, man. He's sharing
Yeah.
links.
Yeah.
And then Testify showed up to talk some shit. Let's see here. Z-Rust. Anyway, everybody who showed up, thank you for coming in. Apothecon. Hail Brothers, thank you for coming. Make sure you hit like and subscribe and ring the bell so you know when we're going live, because it's always competition out there and you want to make sure you catch us.
Smash it.
All right?
Smash it. Smash that button.
Smash it! Smash the
Not
button.
just like you mean it.
Yes. All right.
Peace, love, and soul, everybody.
Bye, fans, friends, family, freaks, all of the above.